Welcome to Ordinary Teachers and Students. These bonus episodes, 1, 2, 3, 4 teachers, are concepts or ideas, mostly from psychology, that I feel will benefit teachers. Rather than giving you a 90-minute lecture about them, I thought a bite-sized episode like this would be more suited for busy teachers like you. My name is Alan Cheng, and I'm a life coach and university lecturer. My vision is to make life coaching a part of every school. Right, after discussing how to sleep well in episode 25, today's episode is about physical exercise, how to exercise enough. So a word of warning first, this podcast is simply one where I share my opinions on how I try to exercise enough. This is not meant to replace professional advice from a fitness instructor or a doctor. Right, so the one concept is exercise, physical exercise, and the two things I wanted you to know would be, one, a bit of background information first, maybe, in terms of what I was like before COVID and before being a parent. So the two things actually happened around the same time. So, I'm not sure which one led to some of the changes, maybe a bit of both. But yeah, I mean, before, I was generally quite a physically fit person. I enjoy doing sports. I've never really joined any clubs though, so it's more like doing sports socially rather than competitively. And so I'll play football with friends or with my students. I play badminton, and I also went jogging quite regularly. So I remember going at least once a week. It was part of like my waking up at 5 a.m. routine. So it gets quite hot and humid like in the evening after work in Hong Kong. So it's much nicer to jog in the morning. And back in my uni days, actually, I went to the gym weekly. So sometimes even more than that. So I was really, really good about going to the gym. But I've never kept it up since then. And it's been a habit that it's been difficult building this habit. I keep going back for maybe a couple of weeks and then stopping. And I guess I don't like the feeling of like after going to the gym. So I actually quite enjoy doing the exercises. I'm totally fine with those. And it's just when like afterwards you get sore muscles. And actually it's not immediately after, it's the day after, right? When you're walking around with like really sore legs or sore arms. So yeah, that's kind of my background. The second thing I wanted you to know about was that, I understand the health benefits of doing physical exercise and the dangers of leading a sedentary lifestyle. And actually, I think we all do. But the key point is, how do we prioritize it more? How do we care more about our own physical health? And so I would say, luckily, teaching is quite an active job, really, right? We're not sat in front of the computer for the whole day. So I quite like this aspect of teaching in that it's a mix of, sometimes we're sat in front of a computer planning or doing some marking at the desk, but we're also having to go to the classroom. Within the classroom, we need to walk around. And so, yeah, most days as a teacher, actually, I got in 10,000 steps. I also have some default options. So I take the stairs when I can. So in Hong Kong, like obviously you have the choice between taking the lift or the stairs. Sometimes it felt a little bit antisocial, like taking the stairs. But yeah, I still did it because it was my default option. I also now walk my daughter to school when it's not raining. So it's a nice way to get in some steps. Right, so that's kind of like the background. If I move on to the practical implementation, so the three practical implementations. The first one will be adding variety and doing what's realistic for you. So if I kind of tell you what I do every day in terms of physical exercise now, I basically do something every day for 10 minutes. And it's part of my morning routine. So basically in the morning when I wake up, it's brush my teeth, wash my face, and it's straight on to exercising. And if I walk you through it, so Monday, I kind of go from the top of the head all the way down to the bottom of the body, so it's easy to remember. So Monday is meditation, mindfulness meditation for about 5 to 10 minutes. And that's kind of like exercise for the brain, right? To help myself to make sure I'm focused, clear my mind. And then Tuesday is neck and shoulders. So I look for exercises to do related to the neck and shoulders. And Wednesday's the upper body, so I might be doing push-ups and tricep dips possibly. And then Thursday's the lower body, like squats and lunges and that kind. Friday's a whole body workout, and Saturday is normally yoga or stretching. And then on Sunday, I don't do any of those, but I do a quick jog around the house. I'm going to talk more about that later. But basically, that's my idea of variety. So I do something different every day. And it's also realistic because I only do it for 10 minutes per day. I also follow YouTube videos to do most of these exercises. So that's been the biggest game changer since COVID. Before COVID, I always thought, okay, exercising, normally at the gym. I didn't really think of doing too many exercises at home. I mean, I did a few push-ups and sit-ups at home, but that was about it. But since COVID, or actually even during COVID, I started doing more exercises at home, and I enjoy the variety, honestly. So I'll include some of the ones that I follow in the show notes, but I literally just typed in like upper body exercises, and I also added keywords like 10 minutes because I want to make it nice and short. I mean, I don't want to do it for too long because I have other things I want to do during my morning routine. And so that's what I mean by adding variety and doing what's realistic for you. The second one will be starting with small steps. So apart from the above exercises that I do every day, I also jog around for around 6 minutes per day in my home. So I'll tell you a little bit about my house. So we have an open kitchen, and so it stretches out to the living room, and that gives me from one side of the house to the other side, it's about 10 meters, I guess. So I literally just run back and forth from one side of the house to the other. And the reason I started doing this was actually because, as I mentioned before, I used to jog quite frequently, at least once a week. But then when I came to England, I got affected by the weather. So it was like, it's wet, it's cold, and I would always make excuses. Oh, I don't want to get so wet. And so, yeah, I started doing it in my home, basically. I started at 5 minutes at the start of 2024. So, and then what I did was I added 10 seconds every month. And so that means February was like 5 minutes and 10 seconds. March was 5 minutes and 20 seconds, and so on. And that's why I'm on to 6 minutes right now in June. And I mean, you might think, oh, does it really make that much of a difference? But when you think about it, 6 minutes per day is 30. Wait, let me think about my maths. 42 minutes per week. So I basically went from jogging 0 minutes between September to December to 42 minutes now. And so for me, that's a major achievement. And so, I mean, I will keep adding 10 seconds to it. It's not like I'm going to run a marathon because of this. Well, you never know, I guess. But it's something that I enjoy doing now. And it's something, again, a small step, but also realistic in my situation. The third practical implementation would be to see what's on in your local community. So in January of this year, I joined the local council gym. So I signed up to a plan. So often we do that in January, right? Everyone wants to get fit and stuff in January. And actually, I go to the gym now every week. And well, I'm not sure if I should say this, but because I don't work full time right now, and therefore I actually go to the gym every Monday, only for 30 minutes. So I don't want to make it such an intensive workout that I don't want to go again. So I make it nice and sweet, nice and short, and I've managed to keep it up every week. But the main point about what's on in your local community was more about pickleball. So I'm not sure if you heard of pickleball before. It's kind of like similar to tennis. So I think the origin was from the States. But it's tennis but played on a badminton court, and you kind of use like a paddle, and the ball's a bit different as well. And yeah, it's actually such a good whole body workout. So I play on Saturday afternoon, evening-ish, and I try to go every week. I mean, sometimes I skip it, but like within a month, normally I'll have gone at least twice in that month. And like I said, it's really, really good whole body workout. And you can't imagine how tired you get after 2 hours of playing it. And also there's a social aspect too. I mean, the people there are really nice. Everyone's just there for fun. And pickleball is great because it's something that people can pick up quite quickly. So if you play badminton, tennis, or table tennis before, it's something that you can pick up really quickly. And yeah, so that's what I gained from just seeing what's going on in my local community. To finish off with our 4 takeaways, and the first one I would say is to remove obstacles and to make it like impossible not to do something. And this links back to what we mentioned in the previous episode about habits. So if I take my jogging habit now as an example, the obstacles were clearly the weather, right? And so I used that as an excuse, and so I removed that by just jogging inside the house, and I made it impossible not to do by setting such a small target. So 5 minutes for me is really nothing, running or jogging for 5 minutes. So I had no excuse not to do it, and so I was able to increase it by small increments after that. So that's the first takeaway. The second takeaway is all about consistency. So I believe the most important thing is doing something small and realistic every day rather than doing something major once every so often. I feel much fitter than before now. And I always feel good every day after doing the exercises. So it's like, oh, I'm doing something great for my health every single day. And it's part of my routine now. So yeah, doing something small and realistic every day rather than something major every so often. The third thing would be making it fun. So I think my pickleball example is definitely, it's so fun, honestly, playing pickleball. And it's something I look forward to. And when it's fun, it's much easier to engage. So imagine you're like, going to the gym is definitely less fun. Maybe because of the lack of social aspect. But just doing exercises that are fun, finding what works for you would make it much more likely for you to pick up that exercise and maintain it. And the final takeaway, I guess I hope you take away from this episode, would be that similar to sleep, physical exercise is often the thing that is sacrificed, right? So when we get busy, often we just do less exercise, right? We don't have time for all those things. So it's important, I think, for us to have a shift in mindset to prioritize sleep, prioritize eating well, and prioritize exercising enough. So my question for you is to think about whether it's possible to fit our life around exercise and sleep and eating well rather than the other way around. And if you want to lead a more physically active life, I think you need to ask yourself the why. Why do you want to do it? And you need to remind yourself of this from time to time. So that concludes our 4-part series of well-being, where I talked about building habits, eating well, sleeping well, and today, exercising enough. Basically, part of my 2024 hope is that I want to continuously prioritize and work on this triad of sleep, eat, and exercise. I think I'm doing a pretty decent job so far. So yeah, that's why I decided to share this in these episodes. So if you missed the previous episodes, please do go back and listen to them. And I hope you join us again next time on Ordinary Teachers and Students.